The people of the land, who harvest the wheat of East Anglia, who rear the sheep of the West Country, the Midlands, Wales and Scotland.
This is often the image we have of society, where we're each allocated a role within it, and the system keeps the books and maintains order so that everything ticks over nicely. Most people's view of societies is that cruelty, selfishness and greed are just human nature. So we choose people from among our ranks to govern over us. These people then have a responsibility to us to instigate rules to control this human nature, but that often rivalries spill over into conflicts. But is that a fair representation?
For as long as I can remember, I've always seen life more as a prison sentence than an enjoyment or an experience. Whether that be having to get up first thing in the morning, have information crammed into us, or spend all day at a pointless task. Now, you might think that makes me sound like some kind of grudging pessimist. But let's be honest, how often have you personally had to console yourself with the thought, well, it could be worse, when really you should be thinking, it could be better?
If we were tasked with proving that 2 + 2 = 4, then our opinions would pretty much coincide, but dilemmas in life are subjective. But we can use a methodology to come to a consensus between us, and that's what I'd like to try and illustrate. Psychologists have studied human behaviour intensively, particularly in the last century, so that character traits have been assessed to identify how our emotions and attitudes are distributed throughout societies. We find that 99.9% of us fall into a generalised category that could be described like this. We love our friends and family. We even want the best for those we don't know, and most of us will even risk serious injury to rescue other species in distress. That's human nature. But whenever we refer to human nature, we tend to refer to selfishness, cruelty and greed. That's not human nature. That's the nature of a tiny proportion of people within our societies. If we were wandering through the supermarket and a small child was sitting against a wall sobbing, it would have an immediate effect on us, like a knife through the heart. We'd be compelled to do something about it, even if that meant recruiting others into helping, because we're empaths. Most people find it difficult or impossible to understand the personality of someone who not only didn't feel compelled to help, but actually might take some twisted pleasure in the child's distress. This is the problem we face, where the naivety of many people means that they're not able to intuitively identify with these people, and so simply can't or won't see it. One of the consequences is that they assume that the organisers of our societies have our best intentions at heart.
Now, it doesn't take a great deal of intuition to realise how every society since we've climbed down from the trees has been constructed in the image of this tiny group. They've used our naivety and gullibility to manipulate every single society from the shadows, so that while we concern ourselves with looking after our loved ones and simply getting through the day, the week or the year, these people spend every waking moment devising how best to maintain and increase their control over us.
Can you imagine how life could be if we ruled the world? Still think I'm a pessimist with a grudge? Often when making decisions in our lives, our subconscious will choose the safe option of something that's familiar and comforting. But once you come to the realisation that everything you've experienced in life is a trick being played on you, then you have to face that uncomfortable truth. And that's what I'd like to talk about next.